Well, it appears I've touched a nerve with one random tweet the other day. Philip Defranco and Sky Williams have been chiming in, and by the way, 100% they're right to do so. And I think both of their opinions are valid, but I wasn't going to respond to it because it was literally one tweet, but I've been getting a pretty consistent influx of people calling me racist now. That's obviously neither of their faults. It's just that they have larger platforms than I do, and so there are people that view their content that might have bad takes. There are people that view my content that might have bad takes. Obviously, nobody watching this video, but nonetheless, it kind of culminated last night. I think it was yesterday, maybe the other day. Defranco had featured me on his show. So thank you, Philip Defranco. And I also think that he was reasonably fair, even though he could have reached out to me to ask me. But then again, I don't always do that either. So it's really nothing. But he had this to say.
The Quartering, who's a creator here on the platform, he included a screenshot of the headline from The Hollywood Reporter with the caption, "Imagine saying, I don't see myself hiring white dudes and being applauded. These times, ... To which we saw fellow creator Sky Williams respond, "Jordan's message is fine because there's a massive outstanding debt to actors of color. He's trying to close the gap by hiring black leads. This isn't an affront to white people, but rather a way to expedite equal representation of media. We want to catch up to y'all, you know?" Right, and the general idea behind Sky's argument there is that if you're angry about what Jordan Peele said, it's because you're buying into or you're pushing forward a false equivalency. Right, like
now, I'm not sure if Philip is saying that I'm angry about it. I don't think he's insinuating that. I think his overall take is fine here. Obviously, he's entitled to his opinion. But if you're going to comment on what I thought in a tweet, you could have just asked me. Most of the people that know me no, I'm just poking fun at the hypocrisy. I do take some issues with Sky's statement, not like personal issues, but I'm going to address them too, because I like Sky. I think we're actually on a friendly, we do talk back and forth, and, you know, he recently unfollowed me, but I think I know why. I think he takes a lot of heat from people who run in his circles that really don't like me. I also think that maybe sometimes my takes are too spicy and it bothers him, but it was nothing personal. Like, he literally DM'd me to say that he had to do it, and like, it was wholesome. So, you know, no disrespect to either guy, but, you know, it's not a false equivalency. My entire point is simple. Change one word. Imagine me saying, "Hey, I just started exclusivelygames.com. I'm only hiring white people, straight white males, because, I mean, the entire industry is full of, you know, LGBT or women." Now, I guess that wouldn't be a fair equivalency. I would say I'm only hiring white males for exclusively games. What do you think would have happened? I mean, or Asian females, or whatever, right? On its face, hiring based on race is racist. Now, do I think that Jordan Peele is a racist? No, I don't. Do I think that he should be able to do whatever he wants to do creatively? Absolutely. A lot of people, and we're going to get to that in a minute, were coming at me like I was saying he shouldn't be able to do it. Of course he should be able to do it. He should be able to hire whomever he wishes. My literal, there's no deep meaning here. It was like a tweet. Let's all freaking relax. All right? My entire point, and this is the problem with Twitter, I didn't even want to make a video on it. That's how irrelevant it is to me to read headlines like this. Okay? I tweet hundreds of times in a week. It's not, you know, I'm not mad about it. I was never mad about it. It's just funny to be applauded for saying something like that when we know what would happen if Jordan Peele said, I'm only hiring white males. I mean, that was my entire point. And it is a point that I think is 100% valid based on, well, everybody's oversensitive reaction to it, isn't it? There's the old saying, me think thou doth protest too much. People were coming at me with all sorts of fire over a single tweet. Why do you think that was? Maybe I touched a nerve.
If you look to Hollywood, the movies that are getting big budget, big studio budgets, what percentage of those movies have historically had male white leads? What are the numbers when you compare that to white women, black men, black women, Asian men, Asian women, etc.?
I'm going to interject here, Philip. What is the correct percentage of black men for movies? What is the correct percentage of Asian women for movies? That's the argument you're making, that there's some secret percentage that is enough. So what is it?
And I'll personally say, and I know I'll catch some heat from parts of my audience, I agree with Sky Williams here. I personally don't see this move as racist. I see it as Jordan Peele creating opportunities that previously really didn't exist, or at least not as many have existed. I also think that some of the anger can be attributed to what essentially becomes a clickbait headline, right? That headline is pretty damning when you don't include literally the next thing he says until the bottom of your article, right? That not that I don't like white dudes, it's just that I've seen that movie.
Philip is right. It is a clickbait, rage bait article. He's right. He knows what's going on here. But let me do a little experiment with you, Philly. You probably won't watch this video, but if you do, let me try. So you are correct in saying, yes, it has a weird headline, but then he goes on to say, well, not that I hate white dudes. All right. But I've seen that movie before. Let me try something. I don't want to hire any black people to work for my company. Not that I don't like blacks, but I mean, I've seen them before.
Destroy industry myths that have potentially held others back before, and now he's in this privileged situation. And it really feels like another example of rage baiting people. And I get it, everyone's fighting for views. And even with me fully explaining the article, there are going to be people that stay locked into whatever opinion that they had.
Hey, ultimately, you know, Philip is right. People are going to have an opinion. And again, my opinion, so it can be very clear for people, Jordan Peele should hire whomever he wishes. I saw both of his movies in the theater opening weekend, both times. I saw Get Out, which I thought was a 10 out of 10, excellent film. I saw Us. I thought it was a 4 out of 10, huge letdown, barely watchable. That's my opinion. Now, I know a lot of people disagree with me, but in both cases, I gave Jordan Peele money. Key and Peele, I think, is one of the best comedies of the modern era. Now, obviously, that's not going on anymore, but they had that cinematic sketch style that was unbelievable. Some of the most hilarious stuff, even like Key and Peele and Fargo, right? So it's not like I don't consume the guy's content. I know it might seem like I don't, but I actually do, and I enjoy almost all of it. Us was just not a good movie for like stereotypical movie reasons. Weirdly timed humor, you know, a weird storyline where they, you know, a super predictable twist ending, like all the stuff that makes a bad M. Shyamalan movie bad, made Us bad. The Hands Across America thing, what was that even? That's stupid. So, I mean, there was just terrible, terrible decisions in that movie. Anyway, it made a ton of money and everyone is ball licking him. Well, it made a ton of money because Get Out was excellent. Now, with Candyman, I think he's working on that too. That looks interesting. But I'm going to go into it with a lot more caution because I got burned by Us. I would not have seen that movie in the theater again. I would have rented it or watched it on Netflix or something like that. Nonetheless, I digress. Again, it was a hate bait, clickbait article, which is why I didn't make a video in the first place. But the reason it got to be a story was because Sky retweeted me and said this. Jordan's message is fine because there's a massive outstanding debt to actors of color. Everything in that sentence is fine except for one word, debt. Maybe Sky means like a disparity. I don't know, but debt is to imply that they are owed something based on their race, which is absurd. I'm hoping he doesn't mean that, because that I would strongly disagree with, but everything else is fine. He's trying to close a gap by hiring black leads. Also fine. Now, again, he can do as he pleases. We don't disagree there. This wasn't an affront to white people, but rather a way to expedite equal representation of media. We want to catch up to y'all. Now, again, I'm fine with the statement. Again, for the millionth time, was only laughing at if he were to say the same thing about... Now, remember, Jordan Peele's mom is white. So imagine he were to, I guess, identify as white instead of black or mixed or whatever. And he said, I'm only going to hire mixed people because, I mean, the statement is absurd. The idea that there's some deficiency in black actors in Hollywood is equally absurd. I mean, maybe in the 20s, if the argument is there's not enough black actors in Marvel movies, well, Black Panther made $1 billion. And if you want to get down to the raw hate facts, black Americans represent a very small percentage of the total pie. So there's just more white people. I don't know. I don't care what the color of somebody's skin is who's acting in my movies. I literally don't care. I couldn't care less. In fact, one of the things Sky and I have talked about behind the scenes, and I hope he doesn't mind sharing this, is he's trying to share his side of his opinion on things, and I'm totally open to hearing that because he's always come to me correct, respectful, and he's always listened to me too. And one of the critiques he had for me was that I'm minimizing race. And maybe I am guilty of that, right? Like, I literally don't care about race. Now, if I were black, maybe I would. And I think maybe that's his point. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's 2000 and current year. Like, who cares? Yeah, a tiny fraction of people exist out there that won't see a movie because of the blacks or the gays, but they're irrelevant. Again, there's this kind of argument that there is a specific number of black-led movies that should exist. I disagree with that. I think ideally you hire the best person for the job. Jordan Peele, welcome to hire only black leads if that's what he wants. Again, I never said he shouldn't do that. And you've got Francesca Ramsey necroing herself. It's funny when creators talk color and about the need for representation and why stereotypical characters are harmful. The response is, then go make your own. So now Jordan Peele is doing that, writing stories for black actors, and suddenly that's a problem. No. Again, these people, it's a straw man, right? They are arguing, they're basically saying that I have a problem with black actors. That's not what I said. People like Francesca Ramsey are race pimps. People like Talcum X is a race pimp. They only see race everywhere, in everything they do. And what a terrible existence that must be. But of course, it's led to, stuff like this. So you're political. I just got this right before I went live, which is what I was like, I'm going to make a video on this now. So you are political now? Again, all of this because I pointed and laughed at people were applauding him choosing race to be one of the key factors. So you are political after all. Can you accept now that you are a right-wing voice? So the implication there is everybody who's a conservative is a racist. So you already know this person's an idiot. All right. I mean, this person has horrible ideas. Okay. accepting your racism might be your channel's content. Just look, might help your channel's content. Look at Alex Jones. He's a happy person, and we all know who he is. I wouldn't even say Alex Jones is, I mean, I don't know. Has he said something that's racist? I mean, I know he said some crazy stuff, but I don't think he's ever been called that before. Maybe. I've never heard anything. I don't consume his content. I consume it mimetically when the Alex Jones memes happen. But again, the implication is because you're conservative or Republican that you must be these other things is why the Democrats are going to keep losing elections. I mean, I'm pulling for both parties to be successful. To not want a strong Democratic and strong Republican party is to not want the best for what's your country. I mean, for your country. Ideally, there'd be more than two parties, but this is the system we have currently. Again, this person called me a racist because I pointed out that choosing who you hire based on race is just that. And so, you know, obviously people that watch my content know where I'm at. You know, I think Hollywood, to be honest with you, I'm basically done with Hollywood. All of the people that, you know, more and more and more of the Hollywood actors seem to be complete garbage human beings. And this isn't about Jordan Peele. It's just every week it's another Hollywood actor saying something stupid. And it's just pandering. I'm over it. You know, so hopefully this clears up. Maybe Sky will watch it and he'll try to get where I'm coming from. Every one of my tweets is not some deep thought. I usually tweet from the toilet. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.